Hello, I'm Ken Eng of the Diversity and Inclusion Council. This Veterans Day marks the second anniversary of our Veterans Wall of Honor. Thanks to all Cartus employees for submitting their photos and stories, which we've proudly added to our display. I'm pleased to share with you our second video that highlights the contributions and sacrifices of these brave men and women.
My father, Walter Williams, and two uncles served in the Navy and Army. Walter Sr. was a Navy yeoman first class during World War I. My Uncle Richard's records were lost in a fire at the National Personnel Records in St. Louis, but he served in the Army Field Artillery, also in World War I. My other uncle, Charles Churchill, served in the Army during World War II, seeing action in Africa, Italy, France, Austria, and Germany.
My father, Loren Finderak, was a U.S. Marine, private first class. In 1958, President Eisenhower sent 5,000 Marines to Lebanon to keep the peace. The Marines made a beach landing in full combat gear, witnessed by sunbathers and vacationers who cheered as they landed. The Marines were withdrawn 3 months later after successfully stabilizing the country.
Joseph Allo was a son of an Italian immigrant who proudly served his country during the Korean War. He trained with the 101st Airborne and was assigned to the 23rd Infantry Regiment of the 2nd Division. He fought on the front lines at Pork Chop Hill and Heartbreak Ridge on the 38th parallel. He returned home after 21 months, a sergeant first class.
My uncle, Major Alan Pascoe, was born August 10, 1936, the fourth of 5 children. Alan was an Army infantry officer. He joined the 10th Special Forces Group and in 1962 was sent to Vietnam. He would remain in Vietnam, earning several medals and awards as part of the Military Assistance Command Unit. Rising to the rank of Major, Uncle Alan was killed by enemy fire on July 6, 1968 in Binh Thanh, Vietnam.
My parents, Bill and Marge Pohl, both served proudly in World War II. Dad was in the Army Infantry and stationed in the South Pacific. Mom, a second lieutenant in the Navy, and served at Treasure Island, California as a communications officer.
This is my father, Lieutenant Colonel R.A. Bromley Davenport, taken during the Second World War. He rarely spoke about what he did. I knew he was an aide to Field Marshal Alexander in North Africa and Italy. Later, I discovered that my father was an intelligence officer involved in military deception. He is mentioned frequently in a 2010 book, The Deceivers, Allied Military Deception in the Second World War, written by Thaddeus Holt.
My brother, Sergeant William Mackenzie, joined the Marines when he was 17. He served 2 tours, including Afghanistan, where in September 2010 he was struck by an IED. Critically wounded, he has made a remarkable recovery. We are proud of him every day and are honored to have such a strong member of the family. One photo is of William during his deployment in Afghanistan with a puppy he named Jimmy. The second photo is from his Welcome Home parade, which included the grateful citizens of Brewster, New York.
This is my father, B.P. Fuller. This picture was taken in September of 1939. America had not yet entered World War II. Sergeant Fuller fought with the 101st Airborne. He fought in North Africa, Italy, and ultimately in Bastogne in the Battle of the Bulge. I grew up hearing stories of the Battle of the Bulge, only to see his stories come to life in the series Band of Brothers.
These are Lieutenants Lynn Hoppy Edwards and John Edwards III. Lynn is my niece and John is her husband. They met at the Naval Academy. Both Lynn and John are helicopter pilots. They are currently stationed in San Diego, but have been deployed throughout South America, Asia, and the Middle East.
Lieutenant Commander Dr. Robert P. Foster was my paternal grandfather. He enlisted in the U.S. Navy just after the bombing of Pearl Harbor. He served in the North Atlantic on a ship classed as a destroyer escort. Grandpa told me several times that he was lucky, as his ship dodged numerous torpedoes and managed to sink a few enemy subs along the way. His first ship was an old fishing boat with machine guns. Later, he served out most of the war on a new destroyer escort ship.